Good evening, Sláinte Mucharja Galéir fud na crunne is Misha Anton Fáilte Isteach Good G Mulauerlin Sho. A very good evening to you all, my friends around the world. I'm Anthony, your host. This is Mythical Ireland's Live Irish Myths, episode number 328. It's summer, but it's not, because after all that dry and sunny warm weather, the Irish weather has returned to normal. It's been cool and breezy and wet for the past few days, and it looks set to continue. Anyway, you're very welcome. Fáilte Isteach. Welcome in. You're very welcome to the Mythical Ireland Library, where for the next hour to hour and a half, we are going to be reading from W.B. Yeats' The Celtic Twilight, Myth, Fantasy and Folklore, which we have been doing for a number of episodes now. Very enjoyable. I hope you agree. Whether you are watching on YouTube or on Facebook, please do join in the conversation by basically commenting, and we'll do our best to share. I know that there are some of you who prefer just to watch and sit quietly and don't particularly enjoy the attention. That's perfectly okay as well. No problem on this side. That is a coffee. Unusually for me, but I found myself having a yawning spell about a half an hour ago, and I was conscious of not spending the night yawning through the episode, as I know all of you do, especially when I try to tell jokes. Yes. First to comment tonight is Johnny Wilson from Dallas in Texas, where it's currently 25 degrees Celsius and the weather is stormy. Wow. Hope it's not too stormy, and hope you're staying dry and safe, Johnny. Lily Shambles is watching on YouTube. She says, good evening. Well, evening. I presume there's a good in front of that. I automatically put one. Good evening to you. Trnonoa Mucharja Muchara Lily. Rex Fortenberry saying, Banachti Alechra Coachta. Welcome to the mighty heroes. Well, thank you. He's talking about all of you, by the way. Thank you on your behalf. Happy Memorial Day to all stateside. Warm and sticky here in Louisiana today, just as I would expect it to be. Expecting rain. Let's party. Well, if that's what you call live Irish Myths, fair enough. I mean, I will take that. Elaine Detlingenfelter, who is in Ireland, in the county of Clare, says, hey, Anthony and the Tua from Fanor. On a day of pelting rain, fog and brutal winds. You came at the wrong time. If you were here several weeks ago, you would have been enjoying a rather warm, sunny spell, and you probably would have felt a lot cooler than you do at home. Anyway, Elaine, a very good evening to you from the east coast of Ireland to the west coast. Tuesday Thompson is wishing us all a happy Mythology Monday. Many happy returns to you, Tuesday. Joe Butler, Auntie Joe, is in Colorado, where rain and thunderstorms are predicted this afternoon. Sorry for missing last week. I blame antihistamines. Ugh. Well, I hope you're okay, and it's glad. We're glad to see you, and that you are gracing us with your wondrous presence. Barbara Murphy says, that sounds wonderful, but keep safe. Is she talking to Elaine, maybe? Or Joe? Anyway, hello, Barbara. Always a pleasure to welcome another Morocco to the Lowerland. A beautiful spring day here, says Anne Scott Doherty. Happy Monday, everyone, and a warm welcome to any newcomers. Yes, indeed. And please, if you are a newcomer, do announce yourself, and we'll give you the warmest of warm welcomes. Britt Griffin is saying, hey, folks, finally nice and sunny here today in Northern Ontario. Birds singing, and the squirrels are out playing. Wow, it sounds idyllic almost. Brilliant stuff. Summer finally arriving to the northern part of Ontario. Barbara is saying, hello to Anthony and all the tour from a pleasant Tucson, Arizona, currently 91, just 32.8 Celsius, and headed up to 95, 35. I actually remember to check. Wow, that is as hot as it's ever been in Ireland, really. Wow, that's warm. Stay cool, Barbara, as I'm sure you will. Kieran Burns is in the house saying, hello, good evening to you, Kieran. Welcome to the live stream. Lily Sham says, yep, weather for you and I is going to get much worse tomorrow. Oh, thanks. I'm joking. The plan for tomorrow is that I spend the whole day at this desk working for the newspaper. So glad I don't have a tour. Johnny is saying, hi all from rainy County Antrim. Sounds like a theme on the island of Ireland. Yes, indeed, Johnny. It's the same down in County Louth, although the forecast says it's going to clear as the evening progresses, and we're going to have clear spells tonight. Which you might get excited about, except I read the forecast for tomorrow, and it says rain pushing in from the west. Oh, Debbie Sheehy is in the house. Good evening to Anthony and the tour from a wet and windy Dublin. See what I mean? It's the same from the east to the west and from the north to the south. Ireland has had a wet and windy and coolish day. John Main is saying, greetings everyone from a cool, wet and overcast San Francisco Bay Area. Hoping you're all well. Good to be here. Well, brilliant. It's brilliant to have you back, John. We really did miss you, and hope you're in good form and continuing to improve, and that we see you on a weekly basis from here on in. I see you're watching on YouTube. Good plan. By the way, I was scrolling through, I don't know why, there was a comment. So, when you have a YouTube channel, you regularly get notifications. And one of the notifications was that somebody had commented on an old video from several years ago. And I see one of the other comments was Yvette Tillema. Do you remember Yvette Tillema was a very regular viewer of Live Irish Myths, especially, I think, during the pandemic years in 2020 and 21. I don't know what happened to Yvette. I haven't heard from her in a long time. Perhaps if any of you know, you could update us as to how she is keeping. And if you happen to be watching or you get a chance to watch this at some point, Yvette, hello from all of us. And there's loads and loads of names that have dropped off the radar for various reasons. We'll maybe get to mention those as we go on. Tracy Durso is saying, a beautiful, breezy, warm spring day in Kentucky at this time. Hello from Newport, Kentucky, along the confluence of the Ohio and Licking Rivers, Cincinnati, Ohio region. Brilliant stuff, Tracy. Well, a very good afternoon to you, and I'm delighted to hear that it's a beautiful, breezy, but warm day in Kentucky. Please do consider sending it in our direction. We would gratefully receive it, given the weather we've been having for the past few days. Tracy, I'm not sure if we've spoken to you before, but you're very welcome to Live Irish Myths, and hopefully, hopefully you're in for a treat and you'll keep coming back. John Inman tells us that yawning is supposed to be therapeutic for me or for you or for all of us. With rain, no fires, as we say in California. Good company. Well, I'll try my best not to yawn, and I am having a few sips of coffee to kind of ward off the tiredness, if that's what it is. Kathy May says, hello, Mr. Anthony and all the two. I hope all are well. Cool, drizzly Memorial Day here in Newcastle, Washington. Cool and drizzly sounds very Irish. Yes, indeed, Kathy May, a very good afternoon to you. Alan Hoskins is saying, greetings from a once sunny Ballina, Killaloo. We might have a new long-awaited bridge. I was going to mention that across the Shannon. I saw it on RTE the other day, but it's been raining since it was opened last week. 20 millimeters of rain today. Well, I keep saying it. There was a writer for the Irish Times called Brendan McWilliams, and for many years he wrote a column. I don't think it was a daily column. See the way I like to poshly pronounce the word in sort of an Irish Times parlance, a column, and it was called Weather Eye. And it was all sorts of strange and wonderful and fantastic facts about meteorology and weather. Now, he passed away a number of years ago, but I remember he did always say that, you get long spells of dry or wet weather in Ireland, and you think, wow, is the weather changing for the better or for the worse? And he said the year always seems to balance out. It always seemed to get, in a given calendar year, you generally seem to get the same average sunshine, the same average wind speeds, the same average rainfall amounts. So if you get a long dry spell like we had in April into early May or mid-May, it's probably going to balance up somewhere along the way. And at the moment, with 20 millimeters of rain in one day, it definitely sounds like it's balancing up. Anyway, I hope you enjoy that new bridge, Alan. Looks fantastic. And I see there's a dedicated and segregated laneway for cyclists and pedestrians. Looks beautiful. and may cut the journey time off for people. And I see it's aptly named the Brian Boru Bridge. Fantastic stuff. Desiree Riley is just popping in to say hello. Unfortunately, I'm at work, so I can't tune in for the live stream today. Well, do you need me to talk to your boss, Desiree? Shall I write a letter? Shall I phone him or her and say, I require on a Monday that Desiree be given time to watch and enjoy live Irish Myths as she has done since 2020? Please consider this, not a request, but an order, and allow her the time. Anyway, don't work too hard, and sure, look, we might see you on the rerun, Desiree. Yeah, what can I say? Yeah, it's a tough beat, isn't it? Back in 2020, when we started, nobody was at work, so everybody could tune in. Johnny is saying, any good book tips similar to what we're reading, Yeats Twilight, but more recent update times? Just asking, Anthony. Well, I think, Johnny, first thing I would recommend is that you search the Mythical Ireland YouTube channel for books, because we did, in the pandemic year, a number of episodes of a thing called Book Talk, and where I did that. And then I did recommend the top 50 books for Irish mythology in a series of episodes. I think that was 5 episodes. We did 10 books per episode. There's lots and lots of great recommendations on there. So just use the search feature on YouTube and have a look, and you should come up with some gold. Mighty Me is saying, hey, y'all, from Indiana. And by the way, Johnny, if that doesn't satisfactorily answer your question, then do come back. We'd be glad to recommend some. Hey, y'all, from Indiana. No idea what the weather is doing, because the screaming, teething baby would probably get the cops called. Sounds like you have your hands full, Mighty Me. Anyway, and hello to the baby as well. Very nice of you to join us, and a very good afternoon to you from Ireland to Indiana. Also in the house is Anne McCallum saying hello, Antone, and all the mighty Tua. Hope everyone's in good form. A very happy Memorial Day to all the USA, Tua. Hope you've been enjoying your Memorial Day weekend. It's a lovely sunny 20 Celsius today here in southwestern Ontario. Well, spread it around, Anne, because it ain't sunny and warm here in Ireland anymore. It's cool. Oh, hang on. I'm very sorry. I have to take a phone call because this person keeps ringing. And no, I don't have to take a phone call. I'll just send him a message to say, I'm live streaming. Don't tell me you're not watching. How can you be ringing me in the middle of a live stream? Why aren't you watching, for God's sake? Sandra Boothroyd is saying, evening all. Pickling down here in North Wales. Needed rain. Well, I will say one thing. Yes. Sorry, just live streaming. Shocked that you're not watching. Yeah, I will say one thing, that the land did need the rain. In this part of the world, it did. The fields were getting very dry and hard, and the grass and crops will be very glad for it. I'm sure all the farmers of the Boyne Valley area are breathing a sigh of relief with the rain that has come down. However, can we get our sunny, dry weather back again? Now that we've had rain, and the farmers are happy, can we just return to what we were having before? Margaret Hughes is saying hello from a windy Birmingham, UK. Rain today. Wow. There it is. It's Ireland and Britain, folks. We're all getting it. Margaret, stay dry. And hopefully you will see the sun before too long. Paul Blockley is in South Wales. A very good evening to you, Paul. Just a quick shout across the Irish Sea from the port city of Drogheda here on the East Coast. I could nearly hang out the window and shout the episode across at you, and you might even hear me. Paul, I'm not sure if I'm not sure if we've seen you on the live streams before, but you're very welcome to Live Irish Myths. Hope you enjoy the episode and the warm welcome, and that it makes you want to come back for more. Rory O'Brien is saying, yep, a bit squally here tonight, Anthony. Evening all. However, there are good signs. I do see a few just patches of sky there between the rushing clouds. So I'm optimistic that we might get some sunshine. And if we do, The sun may shine directly onto the camera as it does at this time of year as we approach midsummer. Heather Marie Leaning is in the house. Evening, Tua, Anthony, and Tom King. Hello, Heather Marie, and welcome from the Mythical Ireland Library. Amy Murphy is saying hello from Mesa, Arizona. I hope I pronounced that correctly, Mesa. Amy, a very good afternoon to you. And I absolutely know you're a first-time viewer because, first of all, I always give a special welcome to anybody whose name is Murphy. But also, my eldest child has exactly the same name as you and spelt exactly the same way. So there you are. It's not often I get to see Amy Murphy joining as a live stream viewer, and it's not my daughter. So hello, Amy Murphy in Mesa, Arizona, and hello, Amy Murphy in Magabry. Brendan Byrne is saying, trying so hard to get into the Black Book. I'd almost forgotten its very existence. Since I think I decided a few episodes ago that I felt really bad after putting Tom King into it. I think there was going to be a sit-down protest. People were going to walk away in their droves and promise never to watch again. Was it Anne Scott Doherty was in it, and two others. There were three who got into it one night for being late, and then I put Tom King into it, and like all hell broke loose. And then I just said, "No, do you know what? I'm not using the Black Book anymore. I might bring back the Lilac Book." Which doesn't sound nearly as threatening. Another Murphy from Arizona, says Barbara. Oh, the Murphy clan, I tell you, the most, and this is a fact, the most numerous surname here in Ireland is Murphy. Its name, Morchodach, from the Irish sea warrior. So whenever the first Murphy arrived into Ireland, he or she must have been a fearsome sea warrior. Must be confusing if someone says, "Look at that column over there." Yeah, I know. Column is a very posh way of saying it, and sometimes I do it just to take the P, you know. Lisa Payne is watching from West Virginia. A very good afternoon to you, Lisa. Thank you for joining us. Hope you enjoy Live Irish Myths. And of course, if you do, don't forget to come back next week. And a very, very big welcome. Fáilte Roath. Anthony, did you ever publish that list of books? I'm going to say yes, but no, I can't say whether I did or not. Moving swiftly on, because I don't want to answer that question, because the answer is probably no. Must do sometime soon. Fergal Ganton says, Banachty live Golair from Kilkenny. A very good evening to you, Fergal. Long time no see / here. I hope you are still writing and in good form. Kilkenny. What was Kilkenny in the news for lately? Can't remember. I'm sure Kilkenny. Is Kilkenny getting a new bridge? No, that was Waterford, was it? So I know Ballina Killaloe got one. I thought Kilkenny was in the news for something. I can't remember now. And shockingly, it didn't feature you, Fergal, which I'm even more surprised about, to be honest. Valentina Bernardi is saying, good evening from rainy and overcasty Glastonbury. Yeah, overcasty. I like that. Yes, copy and paste for all of Ireland and Britain, it seems, Valentina. We are all getting the same weather. Barbara wants to know if we could send Arizona some of our rain. We've only had 0.1 inches of rain since last November. And we don't usually get any until early July. And I love stormy weather. Well, sounds like, yes, we'd certainly gladly spare a few of our millimeters. I mean, Alan Hoskins is reporting 20 millimeters in one day, which is the equivalent of the best. Well, it's 4/5 of an inch. So he could certainly spare a few millimeters and send them in your direction. Mavanway Millward is saying good evening too. I hope you're all very well. Wet and blustery in Bristol. See what I mean? Copy and paste with the weather all over Ireland, Northern Ireland, and well, so far Wales and England. Not sure if we've any Scottish viewers who could update us with their weather, but anyway, if you can, please do. Mavanway, you're very welcome. First Swifts arrived last week, which was exciting, brilliant stuff. The forecast is rain for the foreseeable future. Yeah, I was saying at the outset, forecast here is for unsettled weather right into next weekend. Fergal found a great UCD lecture in 1975 by historian F.X. Martin on Dermot McMurrough and the Normans called No Hero in the House. Yes, so unfortunately, I must admit that McMurrough is a variation of the Murphy surname, but I'm pretty sure I'm not descended from him. How do I know? I don't know. I just feel it. Chancing my arm, I think. Where did you find that, by the way? Is that on YouTube or anything? Thorin is saying, hello, Anthony. Apple. Hit the enter button before finishing the comment. Thorin, you're very welcome. Watching on YouTube this evening. Lily Shambles saying evening. I'm seeing repeated comments again, which is a glitch in the software on this side. The full Irish, Gary, where have you been? Good evening, great and good tour from Knocklion, South Dublin. Give us the weather report. Nice day, soft day on the old sod. Gary, great to see you, by the way. And we've had lots of weather reports, and all of those so far from Ireland and Northern Ireland and Britain are the same. Wet and windy and sodden, rotten old weather, you know. Catherine Cleary says, it's great to be with you all from the very high tides in San Diego, California. Are you surfing right now, Catherine? Seems very safe at the harbour where I live, despite many warnings. Well, I'm glad. Stay safe is the main thing. Yes, indeed. And as Mavanway says, look after yourself. I might as well show it. That's exactly what we want to say. You know, we could say it's been raining heavily, but in Ireland we just say it's pissing. You know, it's pissing out of the heavens. I'm sorry, but look, it just had to be said. Anyway, so very briefly because I think I've caught up with all the comments before we get to the reading. A couple of short announcements. Here follows an advertising break. Ad Astral Music is saying, good evening, everyone. Was at Loch Crew 2 days ago. Can't wait to go again tomorrow. Hope the weather is nice. Good mythical Monday to you. Watch the weather forecast, Ad Astral Music. It's to rain tomorrow, but you might be lucky if you were to go in the morning time. I suspect you might get in before the rain, unless you happen to like rain, in which case go anytime, you know. Viking Ireland, Mr. Murphy on a Monday night, Newgrange on Friday, and Uisneach next Monday. Are you on all of those tours, Viking Ireland? If so, can't wait to see you. Brilliant stuff. So very briefly, now, can I do this is the next thing. I'm going to try and share here. So, window. This one. Okay, just bear with me a second. I want to see if this will work. Yes, indeed. So just to say, there are 2 tours coming up within the next week that I thought some of you might be interested in, especially those of you who are in Ireland. Of course, it's handier for you. Some of you would have to hop on a plane all the way from the US or Northern Ontario or wherever you happen to be. So just to show you, because I haven't done this before, but if you go to the Mythical Ireland website, you get the, www.mythicalireland.com. By the way, mythicalireland.ie should also work. So if you just put .ie at the end, it should redirect you to mythicalireland.com. And under Discover, in the top menu, go to Tours. And there you will see advertised upcoming public tours. And the next tour is Newgrange Farm, Archaeological Park, and Newgrange Chamber Tour. That's this Friday, the 30th of May. There are still tickets available for that. So just to show you, if you're not familiar with the website, if you click on, see where it says View Full Details. So go in and view full details, and you can see the text, and it shows you the details on the picture. But then you click book now to book your ticket, and you can select your dates: Friday, May the 30th, June the 11th, June the 27th, etc., etc. And the other tour, of course, that I'm very excited to be running again in conjunction with my good friend Simon Chute of Monumental Ireland, is the tour next Monday. Now remember, next Monday is a bank holiday here in Ireland, a public holiday. It's the Archaeology, History, Mythology and Cosmology of the Hill of Uisneach, with Simon Chute of Monumental Ireland and myself, Anthony Murphy of Mythical Ireland. And again, if you just click on view full details, you can book your ticket straight away there. But if you just want to view full details, you'll get more information about the tour here, and then you can book your tickets there either. So that's a handy way of doing it. So the tours page of Mythical Ireland is where you do all that. Now, I have to try an experiment here briefly. This will either work or it will not. I told you over the last couple of live streams that up and coming was a television appearance by a certain Udar Agus Star, which is the Irish for author and historian, who goes by the name Anthony Murphy, and who appeared on a TV program on the Irish language TV station called TG Ceathair, TG4. Now, I originally believed that that episode was to air next Sunday, but it in fact aired on last night. So my apologies for that. I was taken by surprise by that one. I'm going to see if I can play you a few minutes of it. It doesn't matter if I can or can't. I don't believe I'd be breaching copyright just by showing you a snippet. I will share the link where you can view this yourself. And the wonderful thing about TG Ceathair is their player, their web-based player app, allows you, I believe, to watch their TV programs wherever you are in the world, because a lot of broadcasters place restrictions on, as it were, watching their programs from another country. I just wonder whether this will play and whether you can hear. So this is the artist Liam O'Neill, and the program is called Slunne, and it means surname, and it's about Irish surnames. And this episode was all about the surname O'Neill. And Liam O'Neill is a Kerry-based artist. And he was basically going around the country last year finding out more about the origins of his surname. And of course, the mythological and historical origins of the O'Neills go all the way back to the famous High King of Ireland at the Hill of Tara, Niall ní Ghaelach, Niall of the Nine Hostages, who reigned in the late 4th century AD. I'm going to play this. I'm hoping that you can hear it. So allow me to shut my mouth and actually let you hear what's going on. Just want to make sure the volume is up on this. Hopefully you can hear this. Liam is currently speaking Oscailga in Irish, but the coming section featuring my good self is Erla. Let me know in the comments if you can hear Liam. Can you hear the TV program? Here we go. No sound from the video. How do I make that happen? That's annoying. I did say it was experimental, didn't I? Look who it is. Oh, that's so he's asking me why is Tara so important. I'm telling him that the microcosm of Irish archaeological monuments at Tara dating. Yeah. So I'm going to silence the video. I think the sound is interfering. Hopefully you can hear me now. This is me basically explaining the significance of the Hill of Tara to Liam, about the history of the place and the mythology and, of course, the archaeology, and how the Hill of Tara really is a microcosm of the history of Ireland. The whole history of Ireland can be told from that place because it's so important. And so then we get into a conversation over a fence, as two Irish fellas do of an afternoon when the sun is shining, lean over a fence and chat with each other. And this is where I tell him the origin story of the O'Neills, the O'Neill kings, the origin story basically of how Niall of the Nine Hostages came to the over kingship of Ireland. And that, of course, is a myth, involving him and his half-brothers. His father was the High King and was happily married and had 4 sons, and everything looked rosy in the garden. But the father fell in love with another woman, and she conceived and bore the child Niall. And there follows then my shortened version of the story of how Niall encountered the mysterious Cailleach, the hag, at the side of the well, and she offered him water if he would give her a kiss. And of course, when he kissed her, she transformed into a beautiful young woman and declared that her true identity was Fláthíos, or the sovereignty of Ireland. And she told him he was going to be the Irish High King and that his descendants would rule for many a long year afterwards. And that, of course, is what I say to Liam here in the TV programme. That is the origin story, or the foundation myth, of the O'Neill dynasty, which became a very significant political and military force in Ireland right from the 4th/5th century, all the way up to the time of the Elizabethan Wars, the 9 Years' War, Kinsale, the Battle of Kinsale, the Treaty of Malafont, and the flight of the Earls. We then, when we finished talking about the myth, we went up to Leah Foyle, which a lot of people call the Stone of Destiny, but whose true, but what's the word? Whose true translation is the Understone. Leah Foyle, meaning that the stone would. Well, the story about it is that it was brought to Ireland by the Tuatha De Danann, among 3 other great treasures. They brought 4 great talismans or treasures, and one of which was Leah Foyle. And the tradition about it was that whoever you had chosen to be the High King must step on the stone, stand on it or step on it, and it would scream for everybody in Tara to hear. And there's a bit of Anthony Murphy humour here, because Liam, having heard this, he says, "Oh, I'm getting nervous now." And you'll see now in a moment he reaches his hands out to touch the stone. And there are some close-ups. There's a crucifix carved into the stone because it was moved to commemorate the croppies of the 1798 rebellion. Anyway, he says, "Yep, I heard it scream. Did you hear it?" I said, "No, I didn't hear it." And he then claims that I tell him it's windy, and he says, "I can't feel the wind." But then a High King doesn't feel these things, Anyway, but just before he touched it, he said, wonder what happens if, he says, I'm a bit anxious now. What happens if it screams? And I say to him, well, I'd be more worried about what happens when it doesn't scream. Anyway, if you want to watch that, I will share the link in the comments. So whether you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, you should be able to see that. And bookmark it and watch it later. Or, watch it now if you want, and just don't listen to me reading the live stream. Looks like a fantastic program, says Lily. Yeah, it was beautifully shot and very well presented. Excellent stuff. Fergal Canton is telling us that there's a seating plan for the feasting hall in Tara on display presently in the Book of Leinster, showing in the Book of Kells Experience. Yeah, I publicised that the other day on the Mythical Ireland social media and got a huge response. Is it on display right now? Because if so, I'm going to make an effort to go and see it. I've never seen the Book of Leinster. I have only seen images of it on the screen. Excuse me. And I'd love to see that page in particular. And thanks for the information, Fergal. Beautiful photography, says Rex. I can't agree. I can't disagree. Some beautiful drone shots there as well. Anyway, sorry about the sound interference. I thought I have to figure out a way that I can play a video on another screen. See, what happens is it's trying to pick up the audio via the microphone, but if you use streaming, the streaming software tries to cut out any other noise that it hears. It only wants, so it views the music or the narration coming from the TV program as interference, and it cuts it out. And then obviously my voice got choppy as well. Anyway, this is you, there's worse things. Debbie Sheehy is looking forward to watching it. Well, I hope you enjoy it. Anyway, we are going to kick off tonight's reading from the Celtic Twilight with a story called Drumcliff and Rosses. That's a slightly longish one, but then the following ones are a few short ones. So we'll see how we get on. Anyway, I'm still keeping the fingers crossed that the sun will shine before the episode ends, or before the sun gets too low to shine in the window. Right now, it's still quite cloudy, but there are patches of blue visible. Movanme wants to know, how long will it be on display? I think the RTE article about it said until August, but it didn't give a specific date. Now, there is a Book of Kells experience website. So if you Google Trinity College Book of Kells, you'll be able to find more information. But when I looked at it, which I think was yesterday, it didn't have any information about the Book of Leinster in it. So maybe email them or phone them, just to be sure, as it were, Adina Sparks is looking forward to watching that later today. Brilliant stuff. Drumcliff and Rosses. Drumcliff and Rosses were, are, and ever shall be, please heaven, places of unearthly resort. I have lived nearby them and in them, time after time, and have gathered thus many a crumb of fairy lore. Drumcliff is a wide green valley lying at the foot of Ben Bulben, the mountain in whose side the square white door swings open at nightfall to loose the fairy riders on the world. And if you missed that story, we read that one in one of our recent episodes. So, by the way, for all the newcomers, you can watch all previous 327 episodes of Live Irish Myths on the Mythical Ireland YouTube channel. They're all there archived for you to go back and look at. The great Saint Columba himself, the builder of many of the old ruins in the valley, climbed the mountains on one notable day to get near heaven with his prayers. Rosses is a little sea-dividing sandy plain covered with short grass, like a green tablecloth, and lying in the foam, midway between the round cairn-headed Knocknarea and Ben Bulben, famous for hawks. And here's a quote: "But for Ben Bulben and Knocknarea, many a poor sailor to be cast away." OBS, yeah, I had OBS, Amanda June. By the way, good evening to you. I had it, and I found it complicated to use, and I don't use it anymore, so I must see if I can go back to it. Yeah. At the northern corner of Rosses is a little promontory of, by the way, that was as the rhyme goes, so obviously there was a rhyme in the area at the time Yeats was alive. At the northern corner of Rosses is a little promontory of sand and rocks and grass, a mournful, haunted place. No wise peasant would fall asleep under its low cliff, for he who sleeps here may wake silly, the good people having carried off his soul. There is no more ready shortcut to the dim kingdom than this Ploverley headland, for, covered and smothered now from sight by mounds of sand, a long cave goes thither, quote, full of gold and silver, and the most beautiful parlours and drawing rooms, unquote. Once, before the sand covered it, a dog strayed in and was heard yelping helplessly deep underground in a fort far inland. These forts or raths, made before modern history had begun, cover all Rosses and all Columkill. The one where the dog yelped has, like most others, an underground beehive chamber in the midst. Yeah, OBS is complicated, but there are tutorials. Yeah, that's the thing. If I have the patience, that's a big if. Yeah, I know, right? And Fergal has shared a link, which is the journal website about the Book of Leinster. Once when I was poking about there, an unusually intelligent and reading peasant who had come with me and waited outside, knelt down by the opening and whispered in a timid voice, "Are you all right, sir?" I had been some little while underground, and he feared I had been carried off like the dog. No wonder he was afraid, for the fort has long been circled by ill-boding rumours. It is on the ridge of a small hill on whose northern slope lie a few stray cottages. One night, a farmer's young son came from one of them and saw the fort all flaming and ran towards it. But the glamour, in quotes, fell on him, and he sprang onto a fence, cross-legged, and commenced beating it with a stick, for he imagined the fence was a horse, and that all night long he went on the most wonderful ride through the country. In the morning he was still beating his fence, and they carried him home, where he remained a simpleton for 3 years before he came to himself again. Brad M is watching from Philadelphia in Pennsylvania, a place I have been to. I ran up and down the rocky steps in Philadelphia. There you go. A very good afternoon to you, Brad. A little later, a farmer tried to level the fort. A bad idea, folks. Not a good plan. His cows and horses died, and all manner of trouble overtook him, and finally he himself was led home and left useless with, quote, his head on his knees by the fire to the day of his death. A warning, if ever there was one, never to damage a fairy fort. A few hundred yards southwards of the northern angle of Ross's is another angle having its cave, though this one is not covered with sand. About 20 years ago, a brig was wrecked nearby, and 3 or 4 fishermen were put to watch the deserted hulk through the darkness. At midnight, they saw, sitting on a stone at the cave's mouth, 2 red-capped fiddlers fiddling with all their might. The men fled. A great crowd of villagers rushed down to the cave to see the fiddlers, but the creatures had gone. To the wise peasant, the green hills and woods round him are full of never-fading mystery. When the aged countrywoman stands at her door in the evening, and in her own words, quote, looks at the mountains and thinks of the goodness of God, unquote, God is all the nearer, because the pagan powers are not far. Because northward in Benbulben, famous for hawks, the white square door swings open at sundown. And those wild, unchristian riders rush forth upon the fields. While southward, the white lady, who is doubtless Maeve herself, wanders under the broad cloud nightcap of Knocknarea. How may she doubt these things, even though the priest shakes his head at her? Did not a herd boy, no long while since, see the white lady? She passed so close that the skirt of her dress touched him. Quote, he fell down and was dead for 3 days, unquote. But this is merely the small gossip of fairydom, the little stitches that join this world and the other. One night, as I sat eating Mrs. H's soda bread, her husband told me a longish story, much the best of all I heard in Ross's. Many a poor man from Finn McCool to our own days has had some such adventure to tell of, for those creatures, the good people, love to repeat themselves. At any rate, the storytellers do. Quote, "In the times when we used to travel by the canal," unquote, he said, open quote again, "I was coming down from Dublin. When we came to Mullingar, the canal ended, and I began to walk, and stiff and fatigued I was after the slowness. I had some friends with me, and now and then we walked, now and then we rode in a cart. So on till we saw some girls milking cows, and stopped to joke with them. After a while, we asked them for a drink of milk. 'We have nothing to put it in here,' they said, 'but come to the house with us.' We went home with them and sat round the fire talking. After a while the others went and left me, loath to stir from the good fire. I asked the girls for something to eat. There was a pot on the fire, and they took the meat out and put it on a plate, and told me to eat only the meat that came off the head. When I had eaten, the girls went out, and I did not see them again. It grew darker and darker, and there I still sat, loath as ever to leave the good fire. And after a while, two men came in, carrying between them a corpse. When I saw them coming, I hid behind the door. Says one to the other, putting the corpse on the spit, 'Who'll turn the spit?' Says the other, 'Michael H. Come out of that and turn the meat.' I came out all of a tremble and began turning the spit. 'Michael H,' says the one who spoke first, 'if you let it burn, we'll have to put you on the spit instead.' And on that they went out. I sat there trembling and turning the corpse till towards midnight. The men came again, and the one said it was burnt, and the other said it was done right. But having fallen out over it, they both said they would do me no harm that time. And, sitting by the fire, one of them cried out, 'Michael H., can you tell me a story?' 'Divil a one,' said I, on which he caught me by the shoulder and put me out like a shot. It was a wild, blowing night. Never in all my born days did I see such a night, the darkest night that ever came of the heavens. I do not know where I was for the life of me. So when one of the men came after me and touched me on the shoulder, I did not say I knew him. I said he touched me on the shoulder once." What famous movie is that quote from? And touched me on the shoulder with a, "Michael H., can you tell me a story now?" "I can," says I. In he brought me, and putting me by the fire, says, "Begin." "I have no story but the one," says I, "that I was sitting here, and you two men brought in a corpse, and put it on the spit, and set me turning it." "That will do," says he. "You may go in there and lie down on the bed." And I went, nothing loath, and in the morning, where was I but in the middle of a green field? Anna L. has joined us and says, "Good evening, Anthony and the Tua. A bit late, but I was very busy lately with the work and the dig in the meantime." Yeah, so I understand you're participating in a dig somewhere, I think, in North County Dublin. And you and your colleagues found a Roman pot, which is a very rare find in Ireland, if I'm not mistaken. Tell us more about where that dig is. Anna, it's great to see you. Brilliant. Drumcliff is a great place for omens. Before a prosperous fishing season, a herring barrel appears in the midst of a storm cloud. And at a place called Columkill's Strand, a place of marsh and mire, an ancient boat with St. Columba himself comes floating in from sea on a moonlight night, a portent of the brave harvesting. They have their dread portents too. Some few seasons ago, a fisherman saw, far on the horizon, renowned renowned High Brazil, where he who touches shall find no more labour or care, nor cynic laughter, but shall go walking about under shadiest boscage, and enjoy the conversation of Cuchulainn and his heroes. A vision of High Brazil forebodes national troubles. That I did not know. footnote being, or a margin note being taken here. Forgive me for a moment. National troubles. Drumcliff and Rosses are choke full of ghosts. By bog, road, rath, hillside, sea border, they gather in all shapes. Headless women, men in armour, shadow hares, fire-tongued hounds, whistling seals, and so on. A whistling seal sank a ship the other day. At Drumcliff, there is a very ancient graveyard. The annals of the Four Masters have this verse about a soldier named Denidach, who died in 871. Quote, a pious soldier of the race of Conn lies under hazel crosses at Drumcliff, unquote. Am I right in saying Drumcliff? Maybe he's not talking about the self-same cemetery, but isn't Yeats himself buried in a cemetery in Drumcliff? Not very long ago, an old woman, turning to go into the churchyard at night to pray, saw standing before her a man in armour, who asked her where she was going. It was the, quote, pious soldier of the race of Conn, or Conn, quote, says local wisdom, still keeping watch with his ancient piety over the graveyard. Again, the custom is still common hereabouts of sprinkling the doorstep with the blood of a chicken on the death of a very young child, thus, as belief is, drawing into the blood the evil spirits from the too weak soul. Blood is a great gatherer of evil spirits. To cut your hand on a stone on going into a fort is said to be very dangerous. They have found the first intact Roman pot in Ireland. There is no more curious ghost in Drumcliff or Rosses than the snipe ghost. There is a bush behind a house in the village that I know well. For excellent reasons, I do not say, whether in Drumcliff or Rosses, or on the slope of Ben Bulben, or even on the plain round Knocknarea. There is a history concerning the house and the bush. A man once lived there who found on the quay of Sligo a package containing £300 in notes. You can imagine, in the late 1800s, that's a lot of money. It was dropped by a foreign sea captain. This my man knew, but said nothing. It was money for freight, and the sea captain, not daring to face his owners, committed suicide in mid-ocean. Shortly afterwards, my man died. His soul could not rest. At any rate, strange sounds were heard round his house, though that had grown and prospered since the freight money. The wife was often seen by those still alive out in the garden, praying at the bush I have spoken of, for the shade of the dead man appeared there at times. The bush remains to this day. Once portion of a hedge, it now stands by itself, for no one dare put spade or pruning knife about it. As to the strange sounds and voices, they did not cease till a few years ago, when, during some repairs, a snipe flew out of the solid plaster and away. The troubled ghost, say the neighbours, of the note finder was at last dislodged. My forebears and relations have lived near Rosses and Drumcliff these many years. A few miles northward, I am wholly a stranger and can find nothing. When I ask for stories of the fairies, my answer is some such as was given me by a woman who lives near a white stone fort, one of the few stone ones in Ireland, under the seaward angle of Ben Bulben. They always mind, this is a quote, they always mind their own affairs and I always mind mine, unquote, for it is dangerous to talk of the creatures. Only friendship for yourself or knowledge of your forebears will loosen these cautious tongues. My friend, the sweet harpstring, I give no more than his Irish name for fear of gougers, has the science of unpacking the stubbornest heart. But then he supplies the poteen makers with grain from his own fields. Besides, He is descended from a noted Gaelic magician who raised the ghoul in Great Eliza's century, and he has a kind of prescriptive right to hear tell of all kind of otherworld creatures. They are almost relations of his, if all people say concerning the parentage of magicians be true. And thus ends that story, which was called Drumcliff and Ross's. Before I continue with some shorter stories, just going to check up on the comments. What streaming service? I'm using Streamlabs. Johnny is what I'm using. Also, what was that movie? I didn't say I knew him. He touched me on the shoulder once, bugging me. Did anyone else get that? If I give the full quote, I might give it away, but, you know, I did not say I knew him. I said he touched me on the shoulder once. I'll give you the full quote. If nobody guesses it, I'll give you a longer version of it. In your sources panel, click the plus button, select browser source from the list. Give it a name like Irish TV Stream or whatever you prefer. Is that while using the... Oh, if you were using OBS. Okay, thank you. Yeah. I know, I'll have to maybe do some more reading about that. It's not that I use it very often, but if I could do it and it worked properly, I would show you more videos while we're streaming. Should be able to do that without those difficulties. Thorin, congratulations. You have the correct answer. You knew Marcus Aurelius? I did not say I knew him. I said he touched me on the shoulder once. For a bonus point, who was the actor who delivered that line? Not the first one. You knew Marcus Aurelius, the other one. I did not say I knew him. I said he touched me on the shoulder once. Michael Trott has joined us from New Zealand. A very good morning to you. Also wet. You say, wow. Everybody's wet except for those who aren't. But all of Ireland, all of Britain, and apparently New Zealand. Good morning to you, Michael. Happy Tuesday from all of us here still in Monday. Yes, indeed. Anyway, let us carry on. Anna is trying to give a link to the find. Rex Fortenberry, yes, indeed. Oliver Reed is the correct answer. And for a further bonus point, what happened to Oliver Reed during the filming of Gladiator? Marina, there's Ivania Lee. Marina Mighty Tua from Waikato, Aotearoa. Good morning to you also, Ivania. Thank you for joining us at this very early hour. It's such a pleasure. And despite my predictions of a brightening, what has actually happened is it is now completely overcast and grey. So I apologise for getting your hopes up about seeing sun here in the Boyne Valley. But you would only have been jealous because all the rest of you are cloudy as well, apart from those who aren't. There's an old holly bush on the roadside in Glendalough, says Brendan Byrne, called Kahuna Bush, where the local parish lost the race to save a local man by someone dragging chains in front of him. Wow, sounds interesting. Michael Pike is saying Northern California is dry. Well, excuse me. Michael is making an announcement here. Not the whole world is wet at the moment. No, that's true. Michael, we are glad to hear that somewhere in the world is dry right now. And apparently Arizona needs rain. So make it happen. Shave a few millimeters off here and send it over there. And everybody gets a balance, you know. Chris Summers tells us it's lashing in Castletown. It'll be with you shortly. Oh, Castletown. Which Castletown? Castletown Navan? How many Castletowns are there in Ireland? Castletown near Mount Rath Golf Club. Castletown, County Laois, as in Castletown, County Cork. Castletown near Navan and Meath. Which one? Come on, tell us. By the way, fascinating name now that we're talking about the weather. Chris Summers. I know you've never heard that before. But yeah. So it's lashing there, which means it'll be with us shortly. Roth Theo, who I don't think I said hello to so far today, he passed away during the film because of a heart attack. Yes, indeed he did. You're all I tell you, you're all sharp. Well, not all of you. Those who answered the questions are sharp tonight. I was surprised the first time I uttered the quote that I didn't get the correct answer. Apple O'Day says, just a bit of mist here in Vancouver, British Columbia. Hello, a very good afternoon to you. Apple O'Day in British Columbia. Kilpatrick, Navan. Okay, so it isn't far away then. Wonderful. Thank you for being the bearer of this fantastic news. I was just thinking we haven't had enough rain yet. Can we have some more? Sarcastic. What? I'm joking. I'm not blaming you, of course, for the weather, Chris. Just to be clear. One on the Isle of Man, says Margaret Hughes. One what? Sorry, what's the context? I missed that now. Intact Roman pot. Rain shower. Yes, apologies. See, I sometimes don't see the comments until a couple of minutes after you've made them, and I don't understand the context. So forgive me for that. The thick skull of the fortunate, this one is called. Once a number of Icelandic peasantry found a very thick skull in the cemetery where the poet Egil was buried, Egil. Its great thickness made them feel certain it was the skull of a great man, doubtless of Egil himself. To be doubly sure, they put it on a wall and hit it hard blows with a hammer. It got white where the blows fell, but did not break, and they were convinced that it was in truth the skull of a poet, and worthy of every honour. In Ireland we have much kinship with the Icelanders, or Danes as we call them, and all other dwellers in the Scandinavian countries. In some of our mountainous and barren places, and in our seaboard villages, we still test each other in much the same way the Icelanders tested the head of Egil. Is he about to say that we hammer each other on the head with a hammer? Hammer with a hammer, yes. Beat with a hammer. Now, let's see, shall we? We may have acquired the custom from those ancient Danish pirates, whose descendants, the people of Rosses, tell me still remember every field and hillock in Ireland which once belonged to their forebears, and are able to describe Rosses itself as well as any native. There is one seaboard district known as Roughly, Roughley. Or is that pronounced Rockley or Rockley or Rowley? It's hard to know because the pronunciations will vary from place to place. If you're from Sligo and you know Rockley or Roughly or Rowley, please tell me. Where the men are never known to shave or trim their wild red beards, and where there is a fight ever on foot. I have seen them at a boat race fall foul of each other, and after much loud Gaelic, strike each other with oars. The first boat had gone aground, and by dint of hitting out with long oars kept the second boat from passing, only to give victory to the third. It's like an early, historic marine version of Formula One racing. On one day, the Sligo people say a man from Rockley or Roughly was tried in Sligo for breaking a skull in a row, and made the defence, not unknown in Ireland, that some heads are so thin you cannot be responsible for them. Wow. Having turned with a look of passionate contempt towards the solicitor who was prosecuting, and cried, quote, "That little fellow's skull, if you were to hit it, would go like an eggshell," unquote, he beamed upon the judge and said in a wheedling voice, quote, "But a man might wallop away at your lordships for a fortnight," unquote. But I can imagine how that went. I'd say he got a stiff old sentence for his temerity. And the second part says, I wrote all this years ago out of what were then old memories. I was in Roughly the other day and found it much like other desolate places. I may have been thinking of Moghorow, Moughorow, a much wilder place, for the memories of one's childhood are brittle things to lean upon. Yeah, Amanda June, that sounds very Irish, by the way. The weather can't make up its mind. Every time I look out the window, it's doing something else. 4 seasons in one day is what they say about the Irish climate. It's quite true. If you're a poet, you have a thick skull. I just don't want to know how we're supposed to find out, you know? The religion of a sailor. Pardon me. A sea captain, when he stands upon the bridge or looks out from his deckhouse, thinks much about God and about the world. Away in the valley yonder, among the corn and the poppies, men may well forget all things except the warmth of the sun upon the face and the kind shadow under the hedge. But he who journeys through storm and darkness must needs think and think. One July, a couple of years ago, I took my supper with a Captain Moran, or as some people pronounce it, Moran, but I think a lot of people in Ireland say Moran, on board the SS Margaret that had put into a western river from I know not where. I found him a man of many notions, all flavoured with his personality, as is the way with sailors. He talked in his queer sea manner of God and the world, and up through all his words broke the hard energy of his calling. Sure, said he, I'm doing no, Danny, don't, Anthony, do not do a stereotypical Captain Birdseye voice. Sure, said he, did you ever hear tell of a sea captain's prayer? No, said I, what is it? It is, replied he, O Lord, give me a stiff upper lip. And what does that mean? It means, he said, that when they come to see me some night and wake me up and say, Captain, we're going down, that I won't make a fool of myself. Why, sure, we were in mid-Atlantic and I standing on the bridge, when the third mate comes up to me looking martial bad. Says I, didn't you know when you joined that a certain percentage go down every year? Yes, sure, says he. And says I, aren't you paid to go down? Yes, sure, says he. And says I, then go down like a man and be damned to you. And that is the end of the story. Criach. Wow. Johnny Depp apparently has nothing. Yeah. Yes, I guess going to captain the. Doesn't he speak like Ron Wood or what's the other guy's name? The ever living rock band, the Rolling Stones. Ronnie Wood or Keith Richards, one or the other, isn't he? He based his entire Captain Sparrow persona on one of the Rolling Stones. Concerning the nearness together of heaven, earth, and purgatory. In Ireland, this world and the world we go to after death are not far apart. I have heard of a ghost that was many years in a tree, and many years in the archway of a bridge. And my old Mayo woman says, quote, there is a bush up at my place, and the people do be saying that there are two souls doing their penance under it. When the wind blows one way, the one has shelter, and when it blows from the north, the other has shelter. It is twisted over with the way they be rooting under it for shelter. I don't believe it, but there is many a one would not pass by it at night. Unquote. Indeed, there are times when the worlds are so near together that it seems as if our earthly chattels were no more than the shadows of things beyond. A lady I knew once saw a village child running about with a long trailing petticoat upon her, and asked the creature why she did not have it cut short. It was my grandmother's, said the child. Would you have her going about yonder with her petticoat up to her knees, and she dead but 4 days? I've read a story of a woman whose ghost haunted her people because they had made her grave clothes so short that the fires of purgatory burned her knees. These are some stories, I tell you. The peasantry expect to have beyond the grave houses much like their earthly homes, only there the thatch will never go leaky, nor the white walls lose their lustre, nor shall the dairy be at any time empty of good milk and butter. But now and then a landlord or an agent or a gouger will go by begging his bread to show how God divides the righteous from the unrighteous. And on the bottom of that story, it says 1892 and 1902. So obviously one of those from the earlier edition that was later updated. Updated? I just said it was later updated. Updated. And the rain from Castletown has arrived in Drogheda. It's pissing down, as I said earlier on. It's grey, verging on black, and raining heavily. Oh, wonderful. Just fantastic, really. I mean, I'm so thrilled. Can't you see? And that's Chris Summers, whose prediction turned out to be very accurate. Chris, if you wouldn't mind, seeing that you're so good at predicting the future, could you give us the winning lottery numbers? The Euro Millions would be nice, actually, for the next draw. Thanks a million. Just send them on to me by private message. Don't put them in the chat because everyone else will get them. Then I'll have to share it, which I'd be very, very happy to do, by the way. Jack Sparrow was based on Keith Richards, says Thorin, who actually appeared in the movie as the law keeper or something like that. I didn't know that, actually. Brilliant. Chattels being items or possessions, Chris. Yes, indeed. Rename Coda the Black Pearl, says Brendan. And we go on adventures on the high seas. Yes, indeed. The Eaters of Precious Stones. Yes, you heard right. Eating stones. The Eaters of Precious Stones. Sometimes when I have been shut off from common interests and have for a little forgotten to be restless, I get waking dreams, now faint and shadow-like, now vivid and solid-looking, like the material world under my feet. Whether they be faint or vivid, they are ever beyond the power of my will to alter in any way. They have their own will and sweep hither and thither and change according to its commands. One day I saw faintly an immense pit of blackness, round which went a circular parapet, and on this parapet sat innumerable apes, eating precious stones out of the palms of their hands. C.G. Young would have a field day with this dream. The stones glittered green and crimson, and the apes devoured them with an insatiable hunger. I knew that I saw the Celtic hell, and my own hell, the hell of the artist, and that all who sought after beautiful and wonderful things with too avid a thirst lost peace and form and became shapeless and common. I have seen into other people's hells also, and saw in one an infernal Peter who had a black face and white lips, and who weighed on a curious double scales not only the evil deeds committed, but the good deeds left undone, of certain invisible shades. I could see the scales go up and down, but I could not see the shades who were, I knew, crowding about him. I saw on another occasion a quantity of demons of all kinds of shapes, fish-like, serpent-like, ape-like, and dog-like, sitting about a black pit, such as that in my own hell, and looking at a moon-like reflection of the heavens, which shone up from the depths of the pit. Okay, one more. Oh, hang on till I do a stretch. Oh my goodness me. I need to be stretched on the rack. Oh, my back. Oh, yakety yak. Oh, my back. Oh. Who in what film said the following? Age, it seems, has finally begun to catch up with me. Our Lady of the Hills, this is called. When we were children, we did not say at such a distance from the post office, or so far from the butcher's or the grocer's, but measured things by the covered well in the wood, or by the burrow of the fox in the hill. We belonged then to God and to his works, and to things come down from the ancient days. We would not have been greatly surprised had we met the shining feet of an angel among the white mushrooms upon the mountains, for we knew in those days immense despair, unfathomed love, every eternal mood. But now the draw net is about our feet. A few miles eastward of Loch Gill, a young Protestant girl, who was both pretty herself and prettily dressed in blue and white, wandered up among those mountain mushrooms. And I have a letter of hers, telling how she met a troop of children and became a portion of their dream. When they first saw her, they threw themselves face down in a bed of rushes, as if in great fear. But after a little, other children came about them, and they got up and followed her almost bravely. Almost. She noticed their fear and presently stood still and held out her arms. A little girl threw herself into them with the cry, "Ah, you are the Virgin out of the picture." "No," said another, coming near also. "She is a sky fairy, for she has the colour of the sky." "No," said a third, "she is the fairy out of the foxglove, grown big." The other children, however, would have it that she was indeed the Virgin, for she wore the Virgin's colours. Her good Protestant heart was greatly troubled, and she got the children to sit down about her and tried to explain who she was. But they would have none of her explanation. Finding explanation of no avail, she asked had they ever heard of Christ. "Yes," said one, "but we do not like him, for he would kill us if it were not for the Virgin." "Tell him to be good to me," whispered another into her ear. "He would not let me near him, for Dad says I am a divil," burst out a third. She talked to them a long time about Christ and the apostles, but was finally interrupted by an elderly woman with a stick, who, taking her to be some adventurous hunter for converts, drove the children away, despite their explanation that here was the great Queen of Heaven come to walk upon the mountain and be kind to them. When the children had gone, she went on her way, and had walked about half a mile, when the child who was called a divil jumped down from the high ditch by the lane, and said she would believe her an ordinary lady if she had two skirts, for ladies always had two skirts. Heaven zones, I need a strong tea now, says Michael Trott, stretching in the class. Next, it's yoga. Yes, let's all do yoga, followed by meditation. Brendan says, if I don't get to tune in next week, it's because I'm working in Charleville Castle and it's haunted, bringing a pocket of salt. Wow. Tell us what you see/hear/experience. Posture check, says Chris Summers. Yeah. The two skirts were shown, and the child went away crestfallen. But a few minutes later, jumped down again from the ditch and cried angrily, "Dad's a divil, Mum's a divil, and I'm a divil, and you are only an ordinary lady." And having flung a handful of mud and pebbles, ran away sobbing. Oh, starting to brighten up again. Only that my hopes dashed a few minutes later by another heavy shower arriving from the Castletown direction. When my pretty Protestant had come to her own home, she found that she had dropped the tassels of her parasol. A year later, she was by chance upon the mountain, but wearing now a plain black dress, and met the child who had first called her the Virgin, and out of the picture she saw the tassels hanging about the child's neck, and said, "I am the lady you met last year. Who told you about Christ?" "No, you are not. No, you are not. No, you are not," was the passionate reply. And after all, it was not my pretty Protestant, but Mary, Star of the Sea, still walking in sadness and in beauty upon many a mountain and by many a shore, who cast those tassels at the feet of the child. It is indeed fitting that men pray to her who is the mother of peace, the mother of dreams, and the mother of purity, to leave them yet a little hour to do good and evil in, and to watch old time telling the rosary of the stars. Yeats, such a wonderful wordsmith. What a fabulous way with words he had. Yes, indeed. Rossi was telling us, sadly, I won't be able to go to Ireland in June as I wanted. I rescheduled everything because my flight was making a scale in Canada. My flight was making a scale? What's that mean in Canada? But they haven't answered me back within almost 2 months when they told me they'd take 4 weeks. I'm very sad, but the readings make me feel a lot better. Well, I'm glad that we're able to lift your spirits in some way, Rothio. And if it's not meant to happen, sometimes, disappointing news leads to better news. Something doesn't happen because something better is to happen. That's often my philosophy. Bilbo, of course, says Rex, and of course that was the earlier reference to age, it seems, has finally started to catch up on me. Having previously been told by Gandalf, "You haven't aged a day." Heavens, yes, I read that. Tell the ghosts you'll make sure they get a mention here if they don't bother you. Sounds like a plan. Just checking up on the comments. So, yeah, I hope you're all in terrific form now, and I need the bed, so good night. And I have to put the bins out. Lily Shambles didn't remind me. I'm very disappointed. Lily, where is my weekly reminder about the bins? It's the green and brown bins this week, just in case you wanted to know. Yeah. Yeats had the bardic gift, says John. Yeah, and he also was into the occult quite a lot, Kathy May says, "Thank you once again, Mr. Anthony. Enjoyed. Love it. Have a safe and blessed week, Mr. Anthony, and all the two of us. Sounds like Ireland having same weather as here." Yeah. Pacific Northwest and Irish climate both the same. Oh, I'm seeing a sort of a yellowy orangey underbelly to that cloud. So what that suggests is the sun may briefly appear beneath the cloud as it moves fast over us. Hopefully that means the sun's coming. Mariana Dunn, I'm not sure I said hello to you already today. I don't think I did. So hello, and at the same time, goodbye. And thanks for joining us. Hope you enjoyed yourself. Always a pleasure to see you. Linda Kay tells us we have a sprinkle here in Oregon today. A sprinkle. Is that like a small amount? Sometimes that's nice, isn't it? It's just enough to kind of keep the land soft and to keep the drought away, but not too much that you have to bring an umbrella everywhere and you get soaked, Yeah. Great stories, Anthony, and so well read. Thanks so much. Bye, everyone. Enjoy the rest of the day/evening. Thank you indeed. And McCallum in Ontario. We all get a tease of warm sunshine, then back to the usual. Yes. And it's gotten really, it's suddenly just really golden up. I wonder, can I show you this? Give me one moment. I'm going to stop the video for a second. I want to see if I can show you this because it's glorious. I'm going to stop the video and try and move the camera. It's just sometimes before when I've moved the camera, the cable has wiggled and it has interrupted. So if that happens, that might be the end of episode. I'm going to try and stop the video and then move the camera. So just bear with me for a moment while I see if I can do that. Is that going to work? So you see the bottom of the cloud is being lit up and you see the blue sky beneath. So we are definitely seeing the bottom of the rain shower. And forgive me if that's not entirely in focus. I'm looking at the back of the camera rather than looking at the screen. That is quite something. Really nice. For sure. Yes, indeed. Hope you enjoyed that. That is the view out the window here. Beautiful sky there. Sometimes, a spell of inclement weather can end in those extraordinary displays of nature, but can you prove that to escape the black book? Now, again, I'm missing the context. See above for bin comments, says Lily. I missed it. That's all that happened. You did remind me. How could I possibly even doubt you for even a single momentary second? Yes, indeed. Anyway, that, as they say, is that. Don't forget, if you're interested in the tours, please do sign up. If you're new, subscribe to the Facebook, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and sign up for the email newsletter on the Mythical Ireland website. That's free. Maximum one email a week, and usually only 2 or 3 a month, actually. I'll share the link for that where you can sign up. It's on every page of the website, but just to make it easier, there is a dedicated page where you can become a Mythical Ireland insider. And as usual, if you'd like to support Mythical Ireland, don't forget, please do become a patron at patreon.com/Mythical Ireland. But I would advise you, so many people are signing up as free patrons. You get nothing that isn't already on social media. It is the Stone Age, Bronze Age, Iron Age, early medieval, silver levels, where you actually get stuff that's not generally shared. Currently available for Bronze Age patrons and above is the latest podcast. I am almost finished writing the script for the next one. I was supposed to record that last week, but I got bogged down with it, to be honest. It's kind of a complex subject, and that will be a longer one, which I'm hoping to record in the coming days. So Bronze Age level and above for the podcasts if you want to be the first to hear them. But anyway, in the meantime, with the sky doing its beautifully dramatic thing, I'm going to put the bins out. I bid you all a very good evening from the Boyne Valley. Trinonowa, Chulglan, Nabonia, Idrehedaha, Egundin Nalu. Yes, Leinster champions who were then beaten by Monaghan at the weekend. Let's not talk too much about that. Chris Summers, I'm not sure if you're from Castletown. No hard feelings, about the Leinster final, but at least your team has progressed and mine isn't going any further. In the meantime, as well as signing up to becoming a patron, please, and signing up for the email newsletter and coming on the tours, don't forget that we stream live Irish Myths every Monday evening at 8 p.m. Irish time. Sometimes on occasion, when I'm not able to do it because I have other things on, I move it to a Tuesday or a Wednesday, but I usually announce that on the social media, on Facebook and Instagram, etc. beforehand. So hopefully we'll see you all next week, including those newcomers who have joined us tonight, which is brilliant. Linda Kay saying Patreon is worth the investment in our Mythical Ireland. Yeah, and I have been saying lately that that is where a lot of the good stuff is going now, because I'm making a special effort to make that happen, and I believe you will enjoy it. Anyway, thank you all indeed for watching. Hope to see you all next week. All that remains for me to say at this point of the evening is Ihawa, Kolosov, Slán Gafol, August Tog Gaboge. I love that one. Tog Gaboge, Tog Gaboge. And if you haven't been on the live stream before, or you've never heard that Irish phrase before, it means take it easy.